Pa'aino Hawaii nei. Aloha to all of you on the World Wide Web as we come here to the sacred shores of Honokahua at Kapalua to celebrate the arts 2021. This segment, Comfy in the Kitchen with Aunty Mopsy of Paia. And this woman, she lives in the hospitality lifestyle, not the hospitality industry, but her aloha and welcome to everyone to her home and to her town it's unbelievable. So I'm very happy to have her here today. Aunty Mopsy, welcome to Kapalua.
Mahalo, Clifford. And mahalo to all of you, and for Kapalua, Ritz-Carlton, for inviting me to share some of the home-style cooking this morning. And before I start, I'd like to offer an oli, welcoming everybody. It's called the Aloha Chant. Akahai na Hawaii, lokahi akaulike, olu olu kamana o ha'a konani, ahonui alana kila, aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
Aloha.
Yeah.
As you can tell, she's a great chanter, singer, hula dancer, cook. She's got it all.
Well, I'm very fortunate to share all those things in my life. But today, we're going to share with you home-style cooking. And you cannot go to a restaurant and get all these dishes. So we're going to share with you Luau Stew and pork and cabbage. And the Luau Stew, we're going to do the traditional Luau Stew with the beef. And because these dishes take a while to prepare, we've kind of prepared the dish already, but I'm going to show you what we do. So this is the traditional style beef. And of course, when you're cooking it, it'll also downsize it. So you don't want to cut it too small or too big. So now I'm going to put the other pot here. And this is the next meat that we're going to do. We have pork. Now, when you get the pork, a lot of times it's big chunks. So we want to cut it down, bite size. And this is how we're going to prepare this with the Luau Stew and the pork cabbage. So you're actually making two dishes using one meat, which is the pork.
When people come to your home, this is what you got. So you want to stretch it out as much as possible. So you create two dishes. The main ingredient, of course, is pork, but the spices and everything else creates a whole nother dish in itself.
Correct.
So we stretch what's in the refrigerator because, you know, yeah, right? You get guests come over, well, what are we having for dinner? Well, what we got in the fridge, and that's what we got. So we just spice it all up.
Hawaiian families normally they love pork. And of course, the pork comes from the pua'a, so they just love the pork. We have this here all ready to go. And this will be for the pork and cabbage. And then for the other one, we put it with the Luau Stew using the Luau Leaf. This is the Luau Leaf that we use for both dishes, for the pork Luau Stew and the beef Luau Stew. You can prepare this by putting it in the saucepan of just water and just let it melt down. And you're going to continue to stir it. But in prepping this, we're going to use every part of this leaf. This is the haha. Now, before we used to throw this away. Aole. We have to use all of this. So we're going to take the haha and we're going to strip it, taking all the strips. And we're going to clean all the skin. And you're just going to break it like this and throw it in a pot. And you can really tear the leaf before you put it in a saucepan of hot water, and you're going to continue cooking it. Hawaiian's smart, yeah? You can have a lo'i in your backyard, or you can have dryland taro and just cook this. But the kalo, the bulb of it, over there, that's poi. That's after they pound the kalo, and you will get that poi. So from this, you have a number of dishes that will provide the mea'ai for the family. And so we really know how to stretch.
I remember trying to cook these things, just out of high school and stuff, and I started wasting some of the product, and my grandmother would take me on the side and say, no, that's not the way to do it. Everything has to be used in the dish, which is great.
So now the beef, the stew, is in this pot, the finished product. All it is the beef, the luau leaf, and that's all it is.
This traditionally, if you do it on a stovetop, takes a longer time to cook because the meat needs to break down, the leaves need to break down, right?
Yes.
But now we have the Instapot thing where in 45 minutes everything's done. But I know there's some of us who like to just do it traditionally. You taste it as you go along. So this is traditional.
You're correct, Clifford. I don't use the Instapot because I like to have the meat just kind of break down itself naturally in the pot, and you check it every now and then because you don't want it, you don't want the meat to get really soft. They call it palahe. This tastes better the day after, a day old. They would call it day old.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to wait till tomorrow to eat it. I'm going to eat it today.
Yeah, you're going to eat it here. And then, of course, the pork, using the same thing, and we put the pork, that finished product that we went ahead and cooked, and you can cook it all together. You just, when you're ready to add the luau stew, you put it in another pot, and you put your luau leaf, and you have the same thing, but this is pork instead of beef.
Now, they both can go with rice and or poi, correct?
Oh, yes, yes. Both with rice or poi. Of course, our men, they love the rice.
And, of course, the favorite beverage to pair with the
favorite
dinner.
beverage.
Exactly.
So that's the pork. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to remove one of these pots, and we're going to put this on, and we're going to get the pork and cabbage going.
I got to tell you that I got invited to their home a couple weeks ago, and her family joined, and they were like this chorus. And of course, her daughter teaches up at the Maui Kamehameha Kapalama campus for the choral group, etc. Wonderful singers, and so the daughter shows up with her husband, the Ohana Lorenzo, and friends, and it was just angelic the way they sang. But they had a song that really stuck to my heart with the words, how did it go? It says, come to our house and
come into my house, come in and share with us. We don't have a lot, but friendship we have got. Come into my house, come in and share with us. We don't have a lot, but friendship we have got. We don't have a lot, but friendship we have got.
Now that's the hospitality lifestyle. I mean, those words struck me, and I saw the sunset going down, and me and Uncle Henry was talking story. It was just a beautiful setting, and the food was really good too.
Yeah. Okay, we got this part going, and the part, you really want that to do the flavor. So then we're going to do the cabbage. And very simple, very inexpensive. Okay. Now, my husband loves cabbage. Even though we have little bit meat, he would want me to put this whole head of cabbage inside that pot, believe it or not. So we take the core off there, but we're just going to cut this cabbage up.
The cabbage cooks relatively quickly, huh?
Yes, you don't want the cabbage to be palahe, like, yeah, real soft. So it'll take just a little time. You can just about add anything to this pork and cabbage. You could even throw tofu inside or bean sprouts. Dice some onion just to give it a little flavor, but yeah. Going to add some water, just a little water.
The water helps to steam with the cabbage?
Yes. And then besides this, I like the oyster sauce. My husband likes the shoyu, but we're just going to add a little bit shoyu. And then the oyster sauce. Don't want to put too much. I use a lye salt, and I just sprinkle it.
I'm thinking opai, some dry
Yeah.
opai, for instance.
You could do opai too. You could do just about anything. Throw some opai in here.
And for those of you who are not familiar with the term opai, it's a little shrimp that we have from our freshwater streams, and we dry it and add it onto our soups or our stews or whatever. It just gives it a real nice flavor to it. My stomach is grumbling because I can smell all of these things and I know how it's going to taste.
This is the topping of the cake, the poi. Growing up, there was a bowl like this. And that bowl was filled with poi, and it sat in the center of the table. And sometimes it would be covered, but when everybody sat, when that lid came off, it was time for the family to be in harmony. The poi, the substance, it's gluey, it's pasty. This combination holds the family together. It brings us all together as one. Mahalo again, Clifford, for allowing me to share these dishes with you. And we're ready to me'ai.
I just wanted to comment on the lesson on the poi bowl, because my grandfather, the same thing. He had loi on the taro patches, and he had a big bowl in the middle of his table. It had the cover just like yours, and the warning was always, when the cover is off of the umeke, no negative thoughts.
Correct.
Everything has to be good, because the negative thoughts goes into the food that you're consuming, and then that in itself will cause detriment to your family. So it's all about a pure dinner of sharing, and that's what we have at your house. So thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
From the shores of Kapalua, we're going to enjoy this meal in a couple minutes, but thank you so much. We're going to enjoy this in a few minutes. Yum.
Okay. So here we have our luau stew, and then of course we have the pork that we used in the luau stew as well. 3 main dishes, and it's how big portions you want it.
Well, here we are, and Uncle Henry joining us here. And Auntie, you started us off in a very traditional way of ole. Would you lead us in a traditional way before we come here?
Oh, mahalo, will do. O nani kama huama ke hine kauhane no ke akuama o mai kaiku ko ke
Wow, we got the blessings from the weather, from Akua, now Makua, from your Ohana, and now we get the blessing of bringing this me'ai into our kino. So thank you very much, and as we always say here, let's eat.
Yeah, mahalo.
Yes. You know it's good when I don't want to talk anymore. I just want to eat. So everything's delicious. Your spirit to us, and thank you for sharing with the world. Thank you for living in the hospitality lifestyle.
Mahalo. Mahalo
So
for
from
allowing
the
me to.
2021 virtual Celebration of the Arts, Comfy in the Kitchen, we thank you all for tuning in. More to come.